Age of Mythology is one of my most favorite games of all time. And to say this will be an understatement to give you an understanding of how much I played this when I was a kid. And when Extended Edition came out nearly 10 years ago, I somehow missed it. Because after hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours I played when I owned the CD of that game, I kinda did not want to play it again. Or rather I was focused on the other things. But when I found out that remake of this game, Age of Mythology Retold, is coming out, I went nuts. And when I got advanced access to it, I was crazy happy. But did it live up to expectations for the fan of this game, for a really old fan of this game? And let me tell you that it did. But again, it's not as perfect as I thought that it would be. But let me explain and give you details. First, let me answer the question of whether it is worth it to buy. And the answer is resounding yes. Age of Mythology Retold is an amazing remake that will be great for anyone who has nostalgia for this game and who is playing this game for the first time. And I'm saying this just because this game is actually only $30. And that's at the full price. But if you're expecting something that is remade from the ground up and it's completely different, like for example like Resident Evil remakes are, this is not it. This is more of a big step forward rather than a jump forward, and changes are not as drastic as in many other remakes. But let me get into details and explain what do I mean by that. Well, first things first, this is not a complete ground up remake. Well, it kinda is, but it's not that far from an original game. Most changes are graphical because now gameplay actually looks on par with more or less modern strategy games, and it's not just simple blocks running around like it was in the original game. And the most changes are in a gameplay, and also there are changes in a story mode. And let's start with the bad thing, the story mode. You see, I expected most changes here, like expecting new cinematics, better voice acting, and maybe some type of motion capture and amazing acting, and just making the game looking much better. In reality, all we got is, well, first upgraded graphics of an original game itself, and what we got is now when the characters are talking, instead of just having the subtitles, you have an actual character portrait. I'm not even sure if it's that much different from an original game. Don't get me wrong, I love the campaign of original game, and that was actually the first ever campaign in my life that I completed for a strategy game, and I absolutely loved every second of it. But I expected much more differences in Retold than it was compared to original, which I didn't get. Everything looks basically the same. What we have though is 3 separate campaigns, one for original game, one for Titans expansion, and one for Brock and Itri, the Norse campaign, which I actually have never played before. You also have one Norse primary god as a DLC, and the content wise, that's practically it. There's no additional new content. What they're actually promising is another expansion which will add the Chinese pantheon, which I think we had in the original game, which I never played, and we're gonna also have another expansion which will add another new pantheon. And all in all, content wise, it's not that big of a difference compared to the original game. You also have mythical battles, which is like kind of like a small campaign missions, but that's kind of it. Did it need much more content? Well, I don't think so, but yeah, including at least the Chinese pantheon in the original game would be much better. But yeah, we got what we got. The biggest differences are in gameplay. Well, first things first, the gameplay is much more streamlined and much more easier because we have implementation of a bunch of hotkeys. Now we have hotkeys for absolutely everything. You don't even need to use mouse for most of the cases because you have a bunch of hotkeys for basically everything. What we didn't have, which was a bit weird for me, was a camera movement with WSD, which was weird for me, but yeah, I managed to remap this by also breaking a bunch of other hotkeys, but whatever. I'm not really a competitive multiplayer player, so yeah, that was not a big issue for me. Also, there were changes for the villagers because now you can actually automatically assign jobs for them by selecting the ratio of the different resources that you want to have, whether you want to have more gold, wood, or food, and villagers will go and gather those resources automatically based on the ratios that you selected, which is pretty great. And the biggest changes, at least for me, was with the god powers and with the titans. God powers wise, in the past you could use your god powers only once in a game, unless it was a multiple use god power, like for example the healing one. But now what happens is that when you gain a god power, you are allowed to use it once for free, but after some cooldown you will be able to use this in exchange for favor, basically your lightning resource, any time that you want. Well, again, with cooldowns, which is pretty amazing. And you will have also changes with titans because now for the first time you're actually allowed to have multiple titans. You're not getting this right from the get-go, but after you actually release your first titan and build your wonder, you have an ability to build another titan gate every 10 minutes. So you're not basically restricted with a single titan anymore, which is also pretty amazing. Game also have an inbuilt mod support and basically allows you to install mods right within the game, which at the moment we don't have a lot of mods for because yeah, at the moment of recording, game is still not fully yet released, it's still in advanced access. But all this quality of life makes game quite amazing to play, especially the god powers. Yes, it requires some additional changes, but it's still pretty cool. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I also encountered quite a lot of bugs in the game. Like for example, for some reason my ground units have an ability to walk underwater now. And I'm talking about every single one of them. And you can also build some buildings underwater as well. I didn't try with every building, but you can build some buildings underwater now. I'm pretty sure that's a bug that will be fixed quite soon, if not already fixed. But with all this, is this game actually worth it to buy right now? And the answer is resounding yes. You have the modern reiteration of Age of Mythology, and I'm pretty sure this game is actually aimed towards a multiplayer scene, because there are quite a lot of multiplayer matches going on even right now. An addition of a lot of hotkeys was actually made probably for the multiplayer scene. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be playing this game in a multiplayer because it is an absolute blast. It was a blast when I played back in the day, and it is a blast right now. Multiplayer matches can run up to an hour, and it is insanely fun and very tense gameplay. And with the limited resources on a map, and quite small maps as well, this might actually become an esports, maybe, at least hopefully. Also, one thing that I missed that I should not have actually missed is that game is actually perfectly playable on a handheld. I'm playing this on 800p resolution on my Lenovo Legion Go with the balanced playset, actually with around 15 watts. I think it's 15 watt TDP, and it plays pretty well, including with the controller. Yes, on the later stages of the game it actually gets a little bit more laggy, but it still plays pretty well, and all I needed to do usually is just to increase the TDP, and it plays quite amazingly. You can actually use the mouse as well if you have a mouse and keyboard installed. So yeah, it's actually pretty playable. So I think that this will be pretty great on a Steam Deck as well. So if you want to play Age of Mythology on the go, well, this is actually the best choice to do so, and I'm actually really excited for this prospect as well. And even though I usually do not recommend this game for the full price, just because this game's full price is not really greedy 70 bucks, but it's very manageable 30, and with all the amount of content it provides you and insane fun that this game can actually give you, which it gave me, which I didn't have for quite a while, this game is absolutely worth it to get, and I 100% recommend it to you. And if you want to play any of the strategy games and want to have my list of 27 of them, you can watch it right here. Or if you like RPGs instead of strategy games, you can watch my list of 27 best RPGs right here as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This has been for today, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.